What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us on Self-Made Soul. We know you could be doing lots of things with your Saturday morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world, and you've chosen to be here with us. That's great. That means we provide some value to you, and I'm super happy about that. Uh, Lou, did we post these articles for people to read, or did we not?
You posted the one. I don't know how to explain, like I explained it to you to hit left and hit right.
Yeah.
I guess I could have done that. That now that I say it out loud, it doesn't seem all that complicated.
I know in the moment things can seem really daunting, but once you look at it in hindsight, you wonder why didn't I do that? So, Michael, I mean, you posted these articles. I know you are sort of the psychology expert here of the two of us, and I think you've integrated philosophy and psychology very well, uh, and have done so more directionally and intentionally than I did. It sort of happened by accident for me over a long span of years. I feel like your path was a lot more focused. Now you may have had problems as I did integrating these concepts together and becoming that whole integrated human being. But your focus was more directional. So you know a lot more about this history of psychology and its philosophical origins. Hold on, than I do. Let's talk about that a little bit because that's sort of what these articles were all about. It was about the field of psychology, its roots in philosophy, and how the field of psychology has expanded over time to include multiple schools and attempts to integrate those schools into some kind of understanding of human behavior. And is there any particular school that you think is really good for helping human beings in the real world fix themselves, make themselves better, while at the same time not not getting into that trap where they're always dissatisfied with themselves, always unhappy, always having to fix themselves, where they can walk that line between self love and acceptance while being aspirational and moving forward and becoming a better human being. First, I mean, why do you think the history of psychology is important for us to know? Do you think it's important for us to know? Is
Um, it depends what you mean by important and important to whom. It's important to me because the subject interests me and I want to talk about it, and I think it gives me knowledge about a subject that if I'm going to communicate to other people, I think it should be important to the people in the gallery because they've chosen to watch a show about the intersection between philosophy and psychology. I don't think people need to know the history of psychology in order to have a successful life, but it is an important topic if it matters to you. Um, so as I'm reading these articles, it's interesting because there was a time when Brent McCall and I were actually going to write a book criticizing mainstream psychology, and we were going to do it from an Austrian perspective, from Austrian economics.
Hmm.
And so I read in abundance, in addition to the, having an associate's degree in psychology and, certificate in psychology and social work, a certificate in drug and alcohol counseling. Brent and I read an abundance of books on the history of psychology, plus classical text. William James' Principles of Psychology is one of them, for instance. So much of this stuff that was in these articles, I was already familiar with. So psychology was long a part of philosophy, and Aristotle talked about motivation, why human beings do what they do, how human beings think. Plato probably did. Yeah, I mean, of course he did, and many the Stoics certainly did. But so, and then when you think about things like, well, ethics, how do people choose? What is right and wrong? Or epistemology, what is the means of knowledge? You can kind of see the overlap between the two. And so psychology was considered part of philosophy until the mid 1800s when my dogs decided to go sick because that's what they do.
We don't hear it as much.
Okay. Maybe not, but it's still distracting. It just, it reminds me of a time I was on a show and on the radio, and the echo kept coming, and the host told me just ignore it. But it's difficult when you're trying to talk and then you hear yourself every
You
time.
can't ignore an echo. That's
No,
too much. That's
I
too much.
learned to do it. It's hard. I actually debated Walter Block for about an hour with echo. and I managed to get through it. But anyway, so Wilhelm Wundt ultimately decides, or that psychology should be more of a scientific discipline. So he starts what's called the structuralist school. They rely on introspection and self-reports and that sort of thing. And Edward Titchener was his, I guess, disciple, maybe for lack of a better word. And then William James was not happy with this. William James thought that, we should be studying what the function of behaviors are. When people behave, why are they doing it? What need is it serving? That led to the functionalist school. And of course, we know Sigmund Freud with psychoanalysis. So there was hold on one second. Let me just put this on pause. You talk.
I guess Subby's asking him something.
Okay, I had to just yell. When you yell, they usually learn to shut up.
Oh, you yelled at the dogs. Okay.
Yes, I told them to shut the fuck up, but I screamed and I don't want to scream into the microphone. Anyway, so you have Sigmund Freud with his psychoanalytic theories, and then behaviorism comes along, and behaviorism is going to basically eliminate consciousness from the equation and just study stimulus and response. So, but then humanists come along and they're not happy with that. It dehumanizes behavior. They think it ignores human choice, human meaning, and things of that nature. You end up with the existentialist school of psychology. And, then you get the cognitive school, the cognitive behavioral school that studies subjective states, decision making, emotions, and from there you end up with cognitive behavioral therapy. So that kind of answers your question. What actually works to help people to change is cognitive behavioral therapy and rational emotive behavior therapy. These types of therapy have actually demonstrated efficacy with behavioral change and with getting people off of, helping people overcome depression, anxiety, that sort of thing. In the criminal rehabilitation literature, they actually sort of integrate that with social learning theory to have social cognitive theory, which is also very good. So
What is that?
that's
What is that?
social cognitive theory is basically it ties in Albert Bandura's social learning theory, where you not only learn from reinforcements of yourself, but you also can learn from watching others and how others are behaving, and it ties in the cognitive behavioral stuff that you feel likely largely your feelings are largely a result of the way that you think. Do you have anything you want to throw in before we
No, I mean,
jump
why
into the
why
other
do you
stuff?
think why would you say Samenow was a cognitive behavioral therapist or a cognitive
Um,
behavioral approach?
Largely, yes. He did not identify as such. They tied in what they called the phenomenal. I'm going to butcher this. The phenomenological approach of Edmund Husserl, which is like stream of consciousness. So when Yochelson and Samenow were doing their studies, they wanted the criminals to just write down their thoughts. It's a
Mm.
stream of consciousness. It's all phenomenological. So in that sense, they weren't cognitive therapists. But by doing so, then they were able to address the thinking errors that were committed. So whereas in regular cognitive behavioral therapy, you have that you have cognitive distortions of personalization, magnification, jumping to conclusions, mind reading, that sort of thing. The Samenow and Yochelson have a similar thing, except for they go specifically for ways that criminals uh, commit thought distortions.
Phenomenological sounds sort of like the analytical approach. I went to an analyst, a Freudian analyst, for a while, and he wanted me to lay down on the couch and just let my subconscious just sort of had free
It's a
reign, and
little
it
bit
never
different.
felt. I could never do that. By the way, I had to talk just normally. I could never just sit there and just randomly spout out shit for an hour. Uh, you know, um, but you think that's different than
It is different
writing
because
out your stream of consciousness.
yeah. So in Freudian psychoanalysis, or in the modern, the newer psychoanalytic approaches, the idea that you're talking about is free association, where
Right.
when you freely associate and just say things, and this is supposed to give a key to your unconscious, so then they can realize what's actually motivating you, and fix that sort of, and change it, and that takes years. What Samenow and Yokelson did is look directly at the conscious thinking of criminals, and now they're going to help the criminals to change the conscious thinking. It has nothing to do with the unconscious or subconscious motivations or anything like
Oh, it
that.
sounded like it's a sort of flow state where you're just letting things go.
When you're doing your thought reports, yes,
Mm.
but the meaning and the reason for doing it are very different.
What do you think about Brandon's sentence completion stuff? Did you ever do that?
Ad nauseum. Yes,
Yeah.
and
Did
I
you?
don't know. So, while I'm going through the change process, I'm doing a lot of different things. So it's very difficult sort of to pinpoint exactly
Mm,
what is working and
yeah.
what isn't. Um, I certainly think that Brandon's writings have helped me immensely. Um,
Hmm.
I wouldn't, kick to the side the sentence completion exercises. I don't know what the evidence is though for for them working to do what they say. I know that I did it and then I would go over them every weekend and see what I was thinking. And in that sense, I guess it does help. I personally find it very difficult to free associate in that way. Like you give me a stem and then I just go with it. I
Yeah.
immediately start to censor and filter what I want to say.
Mm,
Again, I'm not going to say it's not effective at all. The cognitive behavioral stuff, though, there's actual studies that demonstrate its
yeah.
effectiveness.
Yeah. It seems to be like it's the most effective therapy out there. Um, so go ahead. No, I don't want to add anything. I want you to keep going with what you were going to say.
Well, so I there's so many different schools of thought in psychology, and I think that it's kind of like I think that you could find value in much of what's there. Sigmund Freud, I think, got a lot wrong. I think his emphasis on unconscious or subconscious motivations. I think there's a lot to that. And I think that that can be seen when you're trying in cognitive therapy to identify core beliefs. Do I think Freud was right about the psychosexual stages of growth? No, I don't. Of development? No, I think he's dead ass wrong.
Do you know
But
Alice Miller? Alice
no.
Miller, the German psychologist. I'm just gonna. I just wanted to posit this because she used to be a Freudian psychologist, and she actually wrote a book on why Freud came up with drive theory. And she said it was because his what he actually discovered when he was dealing with those neurotic patients uh, could not be published in a Victorian world. And so he actually changed his conclusions based on the reception that he thought he would get socially. So what he discovered was many of those women were sexually molested and abused and came from, terrible.
Oh, we got Jim Valiant, I think, is here.
Oh, good. And
Um,
he instead changed it to put the onus of all the psychological problems on the child, dealing with these primal
I
problems.
don't know. I do know that Freud's pool of people that he was studying was largely women,
Yeah.
middle-aged women. So I don't know how you can extrapolate so much from that. But if you look at like the idea of the id, the ego, and the super ego, I don't think these things are actually these different components in your mind doing battle. I do think there's something to the idea that growing up, many people adopt the beliefs of their parents, the moral beliefs of their parents, and that kind of sits in the back as a judge, while we're doing things. I also think certainly that because of poor integration, there can appear to be a battle, especially when you're trying to change between reason and emotion until you can get the two aligned. So I can understand why it came to that. What I find really good in Freud is his stuff on the defense mechanisms.
Mm,
I think that's very good. Denial, projection, transference. I think that these things are a real phenomena, and I think that he nailed it. So I think that that's good stuff. Um, when you get to the behaviorists, I think that yeah, I think that people by and large repeat rewarded behavior and don't repeat punished behavior. So I think there's something to that. Um, their elimination of consciousness from the equation and in the elimination of human choice, like I think it was Viktor Frankl, who said between stimulus and response, there's the capacity of choice. I might be wrong, that was Frankl. So I think that the humanistic school is good on that. Bringing in the idea that people need to feel good about themselves. I don't like the unconditional, the positive
Yeah, I
regard.
didn't like that either, but
I
it's
don't
good.
like it, but the idea of choice, of us being sort of creatures of self-made soul, if you will, that we create ourselves, I think is very good. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, while I don't think is a scientific concept necessarily, I think it does pinpoint how human beings in general behave, that we have to satisfy certain needs first. So I
Hmm.
think there's good stuff all around that can be gleaned from that,
Yeah.
from the various schools of thought. Even the Gestalt school, which I've read an abundance about, but I can't remember much about it with Gestalt therapy.
Mm. Yeah, I noticed that when I was reading the article too, that it seems like all of these schools have contributed something to understanding the human mind and how better to flourish in life, but they can't be taken separately. They have to be integrated in order for you to get a full picture of the human mind. Um, got the developmental stages wrong. Who, F? What's that?
Oh my
Freckle?
goodness. Whose developmental stages were we just talking about, Pellegrino?
Are you, uh, uh, oh, okay.
Whose?
Freud.
And what's his name begin with?
Shut
Last
up.
name?
Shut up.
Maybe we need to
I'm
get
just,
into
I'm
that.
just, I'm just
Maybe
starting to
we
get
need to
sleepy.
let's get into that subconscious of yours and see why we're getting these
Mm.
I don't know if they're not faux pas, I don't know what the hell they are. But either way,
Well,
yeah, so I
cognitive decline, my friend. I'm 60 years old.
oh come on.
All
No one's buying that. No one's buying it. Who's the
right.
tattoo of on Katie's arm? Is that Trump? I hope it's not Trump on her arm. Either way, if it is, so be it. So yeah,
Is that Trump? That's me.
that's you on her arm?
Yeah, with a skin condition, but it's me.
Oh my Lord. I'm flabbergasted. I don't know what to say to this. Who
Well,
gets Mark Pellegrino? I mean,
you for one, but you got it in the tramp stamp area, right on the lower back.
yeah,
My
property.
face,
It says property of this guy.
property of Pellegrino. Okay, go ahead. What were
um,
you saying?
who the hell knows now? I'm completely thrown off. We got Mark Pellegrino tattoos. You don't know who Sigmund Freud is. We got all these pretty women. It's a big distraction.
I not
I
only
love the show. We
know who
always have
Sigmund.
all that. We have the pretty women and subby. That this is
I,
like my life story. Mark brings the hot chicks. I bring the dudes.
I yeah, I not only know these developmental stages, but I had to live them because I had an analyst for like 4 or 5 years. And I got to tell you, Michael, what bothered me about this guy, I guess he was a good therapist in a way, but
Who?
my therapist,
No.
my
Which one? You've
analyst.
seen several.
Yes, this was the analyst.
Okay.
This was the Freudian. Um, and I never fought him on the issue, but I sort of wanted to. But he never told me. He never guided me really. And I feel like when you're in therapy, you need guidance. You're unhappy. Your means of coping with things are not working, and it's making you unhappy. And you're trying to find a roadmap that will lead you to some form of fulfillment. And because you've clearly demonstrated you don't have the tools for it in life. And I kept looking to him for guidance, and he never gave it to me. He just sort of
Yeah.
opened up my subconscious. I felt like I knew myself a little bit better, but I didn't know what to do with what I knew.
Well, that's, I personally like that stuff. I like to know myself better. But it's not ready. It's not necessary to do that in order to change. That's where the cognitive behavioral therapists and the REBT therapists have shown that if you identify the thinking problem, you can change the thinking and then fix the problem. You don't need to delve into your subconscious reasons for everything.
If you
I
can I just say something, Michael? When I
no,
first went to him, the first day I went to him, he's like, "We should set up another appointment." And he takes out his appointment book. Do you want it? What time do you want to come tomorrow? I was like, "What? Yeah, what? You mean you want me to come every day?" Yeah. He wanted me to come every day to therapy. What does that mean? Is
I
that an
don't
analyst thing? Is that what analysts do? Like you go in, you're supposed to go in every day?
Psychoanalysis takes years, they say, to I've been called sassy here.
Yeah, well, you are
I,
sassy, so it
what?
comes with the territory.
Isn't sassy something that applies to women? Can men be sassy?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought it would apply more to children than women, but it anybody can be sassy. Yeah, if you're just a contrarian and sort of a
No, I think
happy
sass
dick.
is specifically for women and homosexuals. I think that's what sassy is.
Well,
I'm pretty
sass is
sure.
a word attributed to
I'm
Lucifer.
neither, just
So
to be
you're
clear.
saying that Lucifer has a characteristic that's very feminine and gay, basically.
Who said no? Nobody even mentioned Lucifer.
I said Lucifer, sass is a term attributed to Lucifer quite a lot in the fandom. So you are now calling
Well,
Lucifer
let's be
gay
honest. You've
and
been known to
effeminate
play.
by association.
Yeah, Lucifer. I've only seen a few of those, but yeah, I mean, he could be a little more masculine. I'd say. Persephone says Lucifer is gay.
No, no, Persephone. Lucifer is not a gay
Did you
man.
try to play him gay?
No, it just comes out
Oh, it's
that way.
just natural.
I guess so. Comes out of my subconscious.
All right. Well, maybe that's what the therapist was getting at. Bring out your inner sass. But anyways, so yeah, these
Can't believe Persephone just said Lucifer is a gay man.
okay. Can we move on from your homoerotic
I
characters
just
and
feel like my work has been totally misinterpreted and tossed into
no,
the
no, I
garbage.
think it's been brought to light. But either way, it doesn't matter. Uh, what the hell's happening
It's the
here?
magic as if.
No,
Yes, I
okay.
did it as a
So
sassy gay man.
I've read a ton of books on self-analysis. Done self-analysis
Self-analysis?
oh to death. Karen Horney actually wrote a book called Self-Analysis. I've done so many personality tests, everything, so much introspection, trying to learn about myself, what motivates me, why do I do this? I actually one time had a dream, and while I was in the dream, I analyzed the dream.
That's
And when I
funny.
woke up, I told Brent, "Hey, I just had this dream and I was analyzing it while I'm in the dream." And Brent said to me, "You are a psychoanalytic pain in the ass." Is what Brent told me. So I have gotten stuff from multiple schools of thought in psychology. But back to sort of the article, and something interesting is that it got to a point where there were therapists who said, "Why are we always focusing on the maladjusted, on the sort of mentally unwell? Why don't we focus on what it takes to flourish, to be happy?" So I don't know who here has ever heard of learned helplessness. Anybody? Give me some
Oh,
nods. Nods. I need
yeah.
nods in
Oh,
the
yes. Oh,
audience.
yes. Yes.
Laura can't nod because she only gives us her picture. She doesn't ever give us a live thing. There's always an excuse, mind you, that she's this or that, whatever, but we never get the actual picture. I don't think Sandra does either. Somebody did. Kathy today. Well, Kathy's gone now, but Kathy was live with us, or maybe she is still. Oh, Kathy's right there. There's so many people in the audience. Wow. Okay. Hi, Kathy. Um, okay, so you're okay. I don't care about your virgin half brother or whatever his problem is. So
Learned helpfulness.
learn helplessness. Yeah.
Helplessness.
So what they found was that there were, when dogs, for instance, are put in cages and nothing that they can do will get them out, they stop trying.
Yeah.
And so that's where the idea of learned helplessness, that where animals or people, we just stop trying, we give up. But what Martin Seligman noticed and what drew his attention was, well, what about those that don't? What about the animals that don't give up? What is it about them that leads them to be resilient? And from that, he developed the theory of positive psychology, which is very popular nowadays.
I think that's something that we need to know. We need to know what makes somebody resilient, what makes somebody, overcome obstacles and other people, wilt under all the pressure. I think we need to know that, right? I mean, were there any good insights? I mean, characteristics that the humanists were able to give us that to hold on to as
Okay, so the positive psychologists are not humanists. It's
oh,
a
sorry,
different.
positive
Yeah.
psychologists.
Laura
But the
says
humanists were
she's
also they were also looking at the positive side of human
yeah,
nature
a
as
little
well.
different though. It was not the same energy, not the same focus. The positive I can't remember right now. I remember it was you know not focusing on the negative. Let me do a quick Google search. Mark, you can yap for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I think the positive psychology dimension is super good for folks like us who are trying to navigate the world and understand, especially some of the people in the gallery I know go through tremendous suffering. I mean, they have a lot of obstacles to overcome, and putting themselves in the right mindset to deal with those obstacles and not just endure, but overcome and thrive. I think it would be great to know what those tools are so they could, focus their uh, their daily lives on those concepts, and it'll help them overcome
All right, I've
what
got
they
them.
have.
So just go through a few of these. So positive outlook, optimism, seeing challenges as temporary and manageable, fostering hope, um, strong social connections, having trustworthy, supportive relationships, adaptability and flexibility, viewing change as a challenge, staying open and adjusting to new situations, self regulation, emotional control, problem solving skills, analyzing challenges and taking productive action, sense of purpose, meaning, understanding one's values and having goals, self efficacy, belief in one's own capability to handle situations, self compassion, self care, treating oneself with kindness, cognitive skills, seeing failure as feedback, use humor, practice self reflection. Uh, Focus on relationships, develop healthy habits, practice healthy thinking, find meaning, and learn from setbacks. Is there anything in there, Mike? Oh, wow, there's all kinds of stuff in here, articles, everything. I'm going to
Great.
post an article. I'm going to post some of these articles right now to X and Facebook. What the hell? So, anybody want to read these articles on building resilience, go to my Facebook or X page and you can do it.
Do you see any problem at all with any of those qualities, Michael? Like optimism? When does some of those things turn over to the negative of denial? You know what I mean?
Well, I do see it. Let me just finish posting this one more article and then I will tell you. I firmly believe in Ayn Rand's idea of the benevolent universe premise, which of course does not mean that the universe is actually acting with benevolence. What it means is that the world is conducive to us achieving our goals. If we adapt ourselves to reality, if we recognize reality, then we can accomplish things. And I think that's true. I don't think that you want to get into sort of the power of positive thinking of a Norman Vincent Peale. I think that positive thinking has its place, don't get me wrong. But, in that book, what was it? The Secret? She talks
Yeah.
about
Oh, that's
how
bullshit.
everything that happens is your fault. That's just
You
not
draw you
true.
draw positive or negative things
Yeah,
into
that's just
your
not
life like a
true.
magnet.
You know, um, like if I got into a horrible car accident and lost a leg, for instance, that sucks. And to tell myself under those circumstances, oh, everything's going to be the same, I'll be able to run, jog in no time, would just be bullshit. But if I were to tell myself, you know what, this really sucks, there's no getting around it, it hurts like hell. Um, but my life isn't over. What I need to learn is what I can still do to have a good life. That's optimism. Denial would be saying that nothing's changed and I can just run. I can still run. I can still do everything. You know what I mean? So that would be the distinction. You have to be realistic, but I think being realistic should tilt toward optimism, assuming that you're not living in North Korea. I mean, then
Right.
it's a different story. But I think in the United States of America, as much as I bitch about the government and the policies, I think there's still a broad scope and wide reason for us to be optimistic about our lives in the future.
Right. What was I going to ask you? Shit. Sorry, I forgot.
What?
I was going to ask you something and then I forgot what it was because I was reading comments and I got.
You're lucky you're pretty.
Am I? Okay. I guess so. Um,
Look at poor Subby out there freezing.
Why aren't you out there with him?
He didn't ask, and I had things to do.
Okay. He's
Plus,
always working, always
he
busy.
hates when I work with him because I suck. There's that.
Yeah. Okay. But he's always busy. He's always working. He's always out there doing something. I like that.
You like that Jim's
Um,
asking who's gay? All right.
what?
I got to look up sassy. I'm very curious about this.
Fuck.
Don't swear, just get to the point.
Mm, I'm trying to remember, but I'm tired still. Oh, oh, almost. Optimism. It was about optimism, and now I don't remember what the context was now. Optimism. I'll remember, but I can't be thinking about it with all everybody staring at me, waiting for me to think of it. It's like trying to pee when everybody's looking at you. You just really can't pee.
All right. So, uh, here's sassy. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here's the examples they give of sassy. She gave a sassy wink after telling a joke. I love her sassy personality. The new salon offers sassy cuts. The cultural context. Historically, the term was used insultingly towards black women, but it was reclaimed within black communities and is now widely used by many for its connotations of strong, spirited character.
Okay. So it's not
It's
just
it.
confined to women, even though it had its
Oh,
own.
hold on. I love it. When a man is sassy, he's exhibiting feminine traits.
Where are you getting this from? Grok?
No, from Google AI. When a man is sassy, he's exhibiting feminine traits, which many women believe are forbidden. Uh, there's an op-ed that says, "Stop calling men sassy. It's reinforcing toxic masculinity." So yeah, sassy's pretty feminine. But back to the stuff. We got a good show here.
So wait. I sort of came up with it again. Now,
Mandy says I'm something. Maybe I'm what? Sassy
how do
or
you how
gay?
do you how do you go for optimism when you are feeling overwhelmingly pessimistic? When the feelings are just so powerful and so immediate
Um,
that optimism is an intellectual construct. It doesn't even feel like it's coming
well,
organically.
I think that when you're dealing with legitimate pain, psychological or physical, I don't know that optimism is the maybe it's not the right word.
Hope.
Maybe hope. I think for me, like I have an understanding. So I understand I'm 50 years old or 49. Let's not give myself an extra year. I probably have 25, 30 years left on the planet, right? Hopefully more, but if you're going to be reasonable, you say 80, so 25, 30 years. Whatever I suffer now is temporary. Everything's temporary, right? So I can either spend this time in misery, in hating everything, I can kill myself, or I can recognize that there's still a lot of life to live and I can still have a lot of joy before I die. My choice is the last. That takes a lot of training. It didn't just happen overnight. Um, but
Well,
I've
describe that training because it feels like to me that decision has to become a felt sense in you, right? You have to have
sure,
that value in your gut in order to move
sure.
forward.
First of all, just recognize reality because what I just said is the reality of the situation, right?
Right.
For instance, everybody's going to die. Everybody's going to experience loss in life. It's inevitable. You're going to have somebody you love die. You're going to lose people. Bad things happen. That's inevitable. Those things again look squarely at reality. It doesn't require one to be gullible or naive. The fact is, we can still have joy. We can still flourish. We can still have good things in life. And then it becomes, well, do I want those good things or do I want to wallow in misery? What do I
Mm.
want? And what am I willing to do to get it? Does it make sense for me to continue to focus on all the bad stuff? Or would it be better if I pivot, focus on what I want and what I have? Um, you know, uh, my girlfriend died. It was horrible. It was painful. I have a lot of good friends in this world still. So the fact that my girlfriend died doesn't take away from all the good friends that I have. It doesn't take away from the fact that I spent 25 years in prison and now have my freedom. It doesn't take away that I still have goals. I still have purpose that I'm trying to achieve. Does that mean that the pain just went away or that the uh, sadness isn't still there? No, of course not. But it puts it into perspective of the entirety of life and what I want and what I can have.
What do you think of this question or comment? It's much easier if you're feeling extremely pessimistic to aim for neutral rather than optimistic. It's what I do with my friend when she thinks the world is on fire. I help her to get to a point where she thinks shit is fine, and that's better than everything sucks. What do you think of that?
Um, I don't, maybe as triage,
Yeah.
but long term, to want to live a long life, if all you think that you can have is neutral, I don't think that's much of a motivator. It wouldn't be for me. Like, who wants to say, "Hey, look, at least you're not miserable. You're not happy. Just trudge along and do that for 60 years." And someone's probably going to say, "Fuck that. I don't want that." Um, so I think the aim should still be for happiness, for joy, for thriving. Um, but again, for triage, just to get off of empty, I think it works.
Recognizing and holding on to knowing that feelings pass helps. And sometimes people need someone else to hold that idea with them for a bit. That's true too. I've noticed that with friends who are in a lot of emotional distress, they can't see past what they're feeling in the moment. That you let them know that it's sort of a transition, it's a transitory state. They're going to eventually get out of it and not feel this way. And sometime at some point in the future, I think that does help people get perspective on what they're feeling in the moment because those feelings can be really really overpowering.
What's
Um,
happening with your mustache? It doesn't look the same.
that's because I'm letting it grow around here a little bit.
Me too. See,
What?
I was lazy with the shaving. Normally I shave and I trim and all that, but now I just did the neck and I'm happy. I'll go with a little beard for a while. We
There
call
you
this
go.
the rugged. We call this the rugged handsome look.
Okay, I like it.
You
Mandy
like the
says,
rugged
but it's
handsome look?
yes, because I'm
All right.
sassy. But it's easier to find happiness when your feeling is neutral. You don't from 0 to 100 in a second. Yeah,
No.
like well, Michael said, it's triage. It's good triage potentially, right? Like sometimes I
Yeah.
look at stoicism as good for people who need emotional triage. Like it just helps them out of the crisis for a moment, but it's not something to really identify with over your lifetime. But it can help you see things a little bit more clearly so that you're not lost in hopelessness. Um,
Hey, are
but
you going to speak at Irreplaceable Spark too, by any chance?
I don't know.
I hope so.
Rozzy hasn't asked me. I don't know if I can make it out there to
He
Austin.
did
Hopefully, I'm
ask you.
working.
He just asked you yesterday, didn't he?
No, well, he sort of implied it. It was
Oh,
implied.
well, I'd like to see you there.
Okay, cool. Have you ever been to Austin?
No.
It's a pretty cool
The
city.
only place that I've ever been off of the East Coast is California, except for a momentary stop in the airport in Denver. Other than that, it's all East Coast.
That's right, Mandy. It's an emotional band-aid. I think you're right. I think it is an emotional band-aid, but band-aids are good. They're helpful. If they help you get out of a bad state to a better one, I'll take it.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I mean that's always been a sticking point for me with sometimes with myself, but with other people as well. When negative feelings are so overwhelming, it's hard to keep hold on to that abstraction that things will get better or the optimistic point of view. It's easier to push it out because the feelings overpower the abstract idea. You know what I mean? And that's why
Sure.
I want to help people with that because I'm sure people in the gallery have felt that where it's just an overwhelming negative feeling about their prospects for the future and the immediate moment. They see no real way out.
I
Uh,
think the worst thing that somebody can do is to deny their feelings,
right.
to try to wish them away or to not experience them. I think that you just have to accept the entirety of what it is that you're feeling in the moment, That doesn't preclude using the cognitive tools to get better. It just means accepting this is the pain, this is what I'm feeling right now. Trying to just, white knuckle it is not a good idea.
Yeah, I agree with you. I found that that was the best way of dealing with anxiety attacks. They give you tools to deal with anxiety attacks like grounding and stuff. Uh, and it seems like the purpose of that is to get you out of your head and onto perceptual reality. Just like acting, you free up your subconscious. It makes you less burdensome. Like the problem with anxiety attacks is not so much the attack itself, but your fear of what's going to happen. And so it takes you off of all that. But I found that leaning into it, into the wave, and asking it what it's trying to tell me has been the most helpful way of dealing with any anxiety attack I've ever had.
Right. Well, think about this, right? In regard to anxiety. If you try to fight it, what happens while you're fighting?
It's worse.
You get a surge of adrenaline because you're trying to fight.
Hmm.
And that just the adrenaline just makes it worse. So yeah, lean into it. Viktor Frankl actually, what the hell was his thing? Oh,
Paradoxical
paradoxical
intention.
intention. Yeah,
Yeah.
is where you actually, like he says, if you can't sleep at night, try to stay awake,
Yep.
and then you're gonna fall asleep. And if you're gonna have a panic attack, try to make it worse, and
Yeah.
it basically it goes away. Like you can't force yourself to have it. But yeah, I just find also that just accepting it, not trying to force it away, it's just a much more valuable tool, than, like I said, than trying to shut it all down or suppress it.
I used to have a terrible fear of flying. Like I was a white knuckle flyer in my 20s. And after reading Viktor Frankl's book, I tried paradoxical intention before I flew one time, and it took away all the anxiety. Like part of I don't know if this is paradoxical intention is trying to make the thing worse, but there's also this other thing, Michael, I forget the name of it now, where you try to imagine the worst thing possible. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know if that's in the same vein.
Emotional flooding, I think, is what it's called. You try to flood yourself with those feelings by imagining the worst thing happening.
Yeah, I don't think Victor called it that, but it's something that sounds great. I've done that. I've done that with fear of flying, where I imagine the worst possible fiery crash that I could imagine, and it immediately took all of the anxiety away. Weird, but it works. That seems almost like a paradoxical intention too, because the last thing you want to imagine on a plane is going down in it.
Let me tell
But it's like,
you,
well, what's the worst that can happen? This, and I imagined it fully and sensorily, and it made me feel good.
I get panic attacks, and let me tell you. So last summer, not the one that just passed, the summer before that, we went to Six Flags, New England, and we decided we were going to go on this water slide. This water slide required walking up these stairs, these wooden stairs, and this was high. I mean, high, high. And I was fine with it. I mean, whatever. So we get up there, and all of a sudden the panic hits. It occurs to me, wow, this whole thing's built out of wood. What if this wood gives way? And suddenly I felt absolute terror that this thing was going to collapse. And what am I going to do? I can't run down the steps. And I'm looking around, and obviously everybody else is having fun. And I'm saying to myself, why isn't anybody else worried about this? Like, don't they understand that this thing is not sturdy and it can collapse at any moment? And I had to deal with that for about a half hour
How
in
did you
that
deal with it?
mind. Well, I had no choice. I mean, I have a sort of a psychological mechanism that when I have no choice about something, it becomes very, I don't want to say easy, but it's very manageable. When I chip my tooth, for instance, I did a swan dive off the top bunk and landed on my face on the concrete. I did not know that it was just going to be. I didn't do it on purpose. I see Sonia's looking at me. I jumped down and I tripped and fell on my face. But I
Just
thought I'm surprised I wasn't knocked out. One, two. I thought I was gonna
where's
get
that
up.
camera when you need it? Where's a video camera when you
Oh
need it?
yeah, I thought that I was gonna wake up. I mean, not wake up. I thought I was gonna get up and be a bloody mess. Like I thought my face is smashed. My neighbor got sick to his stomach from hearing the sound of my face hitting the floor. And the second it hit, I realized just get up, right? I knew that, I'd already fallen. There's nothing I could do about it. Whatever damage is done is done. Sitting here or laying there on the floor is not going to help. I sprang up immediately. I spit out the tooth and I looked in the mirror and I saw I was fine. Um, and I think that for me, I knew it happened, so I did it. Same thing like if I go to get a shot or dental work. Once I know it's inevitable, it's like, okay. So when I'm on that ladder or set of stairs, there's nothing I can do about it, and that helps. It didn't go away right away, but it got me through to get to the top of the stairs and go down the water slide.
That's very stoic of you. It's very like I'm accepting the moment.
That's
I'm accepting what
gangster.
I can
I'm
control.
listen. I'm downright gangster. You need to understand that.
I feel the same way though. If I accept
That I'm
something
gangster.
that I
Yeah, I
know
know.
is inevitable, no, that when you accept something that you know is inevitable, that you have no choice about it. That it things go better for you emotionally. Laura says something that's true, and why I think people should take a good acting class. With respect to talking about crying, the same with crying as well. Trying not to cry makes it harder and more difficult to deal with your feelings. Letting it all out helps fighting your sadness and pain. It's true that when you try to feel something, it sort of robs it of its strength. I remember when we did Capote, the director at the time, Bennett Miller, wanted Philip Seymour Hoffman to cry in this scene. Now, Bennett at the time was a first time director, so he didn't really know how to deal with actors, and we all trained him over time how to deal with actors. And telling an actor that they have to cry in a moment is a very terrible thing to tell an actor. And Philip Seymour Hoffman kept saying, Bennett, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. And he wasn't, I realized at the time that he wasn't just, putting his foot down and exercising his prerogative as an actor. He was giving himself permission to cry or not to cry, to have any emotional life that came up, as opposed to being pressured into crying, which would make you not cry at all. The more you try to hit that target emotionally, the further away it gets. And that's that paradoxical intention thing. The more you try to sleep, the less you can. You actually have to aim for something else in order to achieve the end that you want. And I think that's very valuable for people here who are experiencing issues like anxiety. Um, as on a therapist told me, anxiety is filling in a blank of unknown with the worst case scenario. Making fear conscious is the best diffusion. Do you agree with that, Michael?
Broadly speaking, yeah, you make it explicit and you deal with it and you face it.
Yeah, but do you ever have anxiety that doesn't seem like it's related to anything situational? It just rolls
Sure,
in. Yeah.
sure.
There you can't relate it to something like a fear of a structure collapsing or a fear of the plane crashing, or it just comes on you and you don't even know its origins. You don't even know
Well,
it's
yeah, I
pushing.
used to get when I used to get bad panic attacks, like before I knew what they were, I thought I was dying. I mean, these things came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, I feel dizzy, like I'm gonna pass out. My heart's slamming. I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, something's wrong with me. Interestingly, once I found out what it was, it helped deal with it immediately because now at least the fear of death was gone. I didn't think I was dying, when I got it. I understood it was a psychological thing. But yeah, I've had it where it comes out of nowhere and you just don't know why.
And do you ever find out why? Have you ever found out like, oh, I think this suppressed something from a month ago or 10 years
Uh,
ago or something?
yeah. When I've been in situations where I've had extreme anxiety, introspection and really like tracing it back, like what is really going on, and journaling, what's happening, what have I dealt with lately, what's happened that might be leading to this, and unresolved stuff like people that are not assertive. That's a nightmare because you're just bottling all this stuff up and then it comes out, you don't know why you really don't know what's happening. So I find that there's so many tools, right? I mean, being assertive is one, not denying you're upset with
What is
somebody, not
what's
denying
being
your
assertive?
anger.
Talk about assertiveness.
What do you mean? What does it mean to be assertive?
To
You know what it
talk
means to
about
be
it.
assertive.
No, no,
Being
tell me.
assertive means speaking your mind, letting people know what you think, but not in an aggressive, insulting way. You just
Mm,
tell people how you feel about things.
mm.
I
Do you,
feel it was I think it was an unnecessary question to have me define what being assertive is. I think that you could have said, what are the benefits of being assertive or what are some strategies? But to say, what does it mean to be assertive? I think was off kilt.
I can't wait to go to Austin. It's the jiu-jitsu capital of the world, and you and I are going to get on a mat and together. I'm going to teach you
Yeah.
some jiu-jitsu.
So Subby says my dad was very good about being assertive. No, my dad was good at being aggressive and not caring what other people thought when he said things.
Mm. Well, that's one of the reasons I asked you to define it, because some people might confuse assertiveness with
No, no,
aggressiveness, and
I
that's
get
why
it.
and that's why they withdraw, because they have an aversion to aggression, and they feel like they're, harming somebody through their assertiveness. And it doesn't have to be that way. Just telling people how you feel when it's appropriate is actually good for you. Um,
I statements are very good too.
Go ahead. What is that?
Well, first of all, I there's a formula that we learned in alternative to violence is that I feel when
Yeah.
because.
Yeah.
And then there's of course there's hidden you statements like I feel bad when you're a dick because I don't like when you're an asshole would not be an I statement, right?
Right.
But to me, the I statement, what it does, first of all, it's accurate because you're identifying what you're thinking and feeling. So as a matter of fact, it's just the truth. And it takes so it doesn't put people on the defensive in the same way. When you say you to somebody, oftentimes the defenses go. I had a cellmate, for instance, that used to love to bang on the table and sing, and all kinds of things. So I said, look, I don't like when you do that because I'm trying to read and it distracts me. And I told him, point. I'm not saying even that you're doing something wrong. I'm just saying that I don't like it. And if that's what you have to do, I'm going to find other living arrangements. Right now, I didn't point the finger at him. I didn't say he's a jerk, but I certainly can say what's going on with me, which
Hmm.
was it was bothering me. And I told him what my options were if he wanted to continue. Now he had to decide did he want me for a cellmate or not? And he ultimately did, and he stopped the stuff.
Michael, here's a statement here. Learning how to deal with your feelings and emotions as an adult is often connected to how your parents raised you as a kid, them not allowing you to cry or not be too happy about something. Many adults need to learn this. Hopefully, future parents do better. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think that our upbringing matters, and I think that it matters a lot. I think there's a delicate balance. If you want to learn about yourself, it's certainly warranted to look into your past of how things happen. Where it becomes a problem is where it switches from understanding to blame to
Hmm.
I'm this way because my parents did this, therefore not my fault. Right? Regardless of what my parents taught me, regardless of how my parents raised me, I'm responsible for how I deal with that and for how I think about that now. When I was 7, no. When I'm 50, yes.
Do you think there's room for mourning aspects of your childhood, grieving aspects of your childhood, not
Sure.
blaming the parents, but going through a grief process before you're able to get to the point where you don't blame them for stuff, or you just take full moral agency on yourself?
Yes, I do. I think it's important that we say, though, that when you ask me, do I think there's something to it? Yes. Do I think everybody needs to do it? No. Do I think it can be helpful for some people? Yes.
Mm.
I think that the fundamental thing that needs to happen is a change in the way we view things, a change in the way we think about things. The past, the present, the future, ourselves, the world. We need to alter the way that we think if we want to feel and behave better. Now, how we get to that, there's different roads. Maybe some people do need to mourn it. Maybe I don't know. It could be a technique, like you mentioned with Brandon sentence stems. That could be a technique to help. The doctors, Samanel and Yokelson, with their phenomenological reporting. Perhaps that can be a help. But the main thing is to alter the way that we think, and many times to actually change our value structure so that we're actually valuing things that are in our interest to value.
And it's possible to do that without going through your past history and dissecting every moment that affected you. You can do this in present time without that, right? I mean, certainly it's an important component for some people, but you say it's more important for some than others. Um, but I had therapists who felt like I had to go through my childhood trauma in order to understand what happened in the past. Like I had to grieve it fully. I had to
Yeah,
feel
they're
anger
wrong.
about it,
No, they're
grieve it
wrong.
fully. Right.
They're wrong.
I felt like
They're
that got me stuck, to be honest with you,
it
in the
can,
trauma.
yeah, and quite frankly, they're dealing with an antiquated method of therapy. That's, like I still take Zoloft for my anxiety. I would much rather deal with it with a competent therapist and be able to get off the Zoloft. I think it might be possible. Finding a competent therapist is a different matter altogether. It's not like it's an easy thing to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, it feels like psychology's really not progressed a
No, I
lot.
mean, well, you think about it. You go to a heart specialist, for instance, and some might be better than others, certainly, but there's going to be general agreement about what the hell is going on and what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll talk to about EMDR in a second. So, but uh, like the treatments are basically the same. With psychology, it's all over the place of what needs to be done. Mandy mentioned EMDR. That's been used a lot for PTSD. It's eye movement, EMDR, eye movement. Oh God, eye movement. What the? Now I can't believe I can't remember it. Eye movement desensitization response. Maybe. Let me look it up. EMDR.
She says you're right.
I am right. Okay. I don't know much about it. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Yeah, they have a like a light and they have you follow the light with your eyes. I don't know how accurate it is. I hear it's used for PTSD. What I know the studies have shown work is CBT.
Yeah, because it seems like CBT has a goal in mind, and that's to get you functioning as a functional, thriving human being, as opposed to analysis, for example, which it doesn't seem to have that goal. You go in there sort of drifting, and you just drift for years and years and years and years, and maybe you stumble into a truth or two along the way, but that doesn't seem to be its goal to make you functional, happy. I used to have CPTSD, but not anymore. What is that?
I think that the C might be a mistake.
Oh, PTSD. Yeah, and you were helped by that therapy, Mandy?
Oh, complex.
Complex. Oh, complex.
I think it's
That's interesting.
complex. I don't think it's complex. I think it's complex.
Mm. Yeah, I was diagnosed with that as well, but I didn't go through any of that
With
particular.
complex,
No, with PTSD.
doesn't it sound like a laxative? I'm just gonna say, like something you'd go buy at the store. Complex.
It does actually.
Complex.
So we only got like a minute left here, Michael. Let's take some questions from the gallery, even though um, we've been getting them here in the chat. Maybe somebody wants to come online live and talk to us.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I know it won't be Jim. Jim's not feeling well. Everybody wish Jim to feel better.
Jim sick?
Mark. Yeah. So I
Oh,
I told Brent Mark on the phone today how you were asking you, or you told me I should get myself into the Alabama criminal justice system the way I got myself into the Connecticut system.
I didn't say
You
that.
did said exactly that, and Brent
Oh,
said,
I
"Well,
did
why?"
say
Brent
exactly.
said, "Well, why? Maybe he should go get in."
I'm gonna choke both of you guys. Yeah, I didn't. I
Oh,
didn't.
it's
I did say
Mandy.
that. Hey, Mandy.
Hi,
Hi.
Mandy.
Yes, it is indeed complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which
Hmm.
makes it really hard to tackle, but it is possible.
And the EMDR helped?
It helped a lot, but I also try a lot of different things I don't gonna talk about in public, like alternative things. I've talked
How,
about it with Mark.
what's that?
I have talked about it with you.
How do so it's hard to pin whether that particular technique helped because you were doing a lot of things, right? And were they simultaneous or were you doing them at separate times in your life?
Well, sometimes you just try something and literally the day after you find out that the whole trauma is gone. So that's pretty easy to know that it was that.
Mm.
EMDR is basically supposed to like rewire your brain, correct?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, they have you move your eyes and talk to you about your past, and it's supposed to like alter the connections
You actually have
within your
to
brain.
feel the feeling. It's not just talking about it, but you have to feel it. You actually don't have to talk at all. Sometimes you just watch the light and you just feel what happened back then, and you have to get into much detail as possible, but you don't have to tell your therapist. The
Hmm.
therapist is just an assistant.
Is the therapist talking to you while the light is going back and forth?
They can ask questions, but they're not really talking. It's just more like how are you feel or what happened next.
Oh, so do you do it like right as you're talking about a traumatic thing that happened to you? Do they then break out the light and link it to that, or
I don't really understand what you try to say.
so? Let's say you're in a therapy session and you're talking about the traumatic event or something that may be one of the sources of the complex PTSD. Do they then say, "I want to try something now that you're talking about this event," and then take the light
No,
out
you
and you?
do have to plan it beforehand.
Ah, okay.
Usually the therapist does know what's going on, but
Hmm.
I don't think that's even necessary. But it is helpful for the therapist to give directions.
Oh, so Jim says he was a guinea pig for this years ago, and it was powerful.
I always practice on myself because I am
Can
a
you can do it?
therapist.
You can do it yourself?
You shouldn't do it.
No?
No one should do it unless you're really together.
Oh boy.
It's
I'm
freaking
intrigued.
hard and you're gonna cry and you're gonna have a really, really hard time. So you need someone to catch you if you fall, because you will fall.
Really? It takes the emotional heat out of the memory. That's interesting.
Yes, it gets the edges off.
That's interesting. Michael, have you ever found any physical treatments that help with emotional distress, like certain types of massage where they say they hit pressure points or they say that your body holds certain traumas in it and
I've
you
read
release
about
that?
this stuff, but no.
Like there was something that Nathaniel Brandon used to make me do. I forget what they call it, where you tap points on your body.
It's
It-
tapping.
Tapping. Okay,
Tapping,
tapping. But
yeah.
it's called
I,
E something. The whole
Yes.
thing is called. And you tap in certain points of your body, and it's supposed to release emotional energy. And I actually found it was sort of helpful for me
I
when I
think
was
it's more
practicing it.
against anxiety than really getting the depression, the trauma out.
Hmm.
I've
you
tried
also
it
have to be
myself,
careful
I've tried
because
it with clients, and no one really got a trauma out that way. But it does help with anxiety and when you're overwhelmed or when you're stuck in your head.
That's interesting.
does it account for the placebo effect?
I don't think so, actually, because you do distract yourself with the tapping.
Hmm.
So it's pretty much a distraction, yeah. It's not necessarily a placebo.
But it's not hitting energy points in your body or
Not
anything like that.
necessary.
Okay.
It can help actually. There is a really nice energy point in the middle of your chest, your heart chakra. And if you tap on that, it can release a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the
Often
spaces you
stuck.
do tap there, by the way.
Yes. That
Well,
can help, but not by itself. You have to do a hard work.
all right. Thank you, Mandy.
And that wasn't even my question.
What was your
Huh?
question?
Here in the Netherlands, we have like questions on tea bags. Yeah, you cannot read it, it's in Dutch. But it said, "How are you changed in the past year?" And I thought that was really nice for the time we live in now.
Mm. Michael, how have you changed in the last year? Have
Oh,
you
goodness
changed in the last year?
gracious. I'm sure I have. I don't know how. I don't know that I can answer the question on the spot like that. I haven't like done a deep analysis of it. I don't know, but I'm sure I have. I mean, we're always changing in slight ways, at least.
Yeah, I feel like for me, if I were to pin one thing, it would be it's easy for me to get caught up in moments and forget the wider picture, like how much time I have left. Like Michael said, he's got what 20 years or 30 years or something. He said, and I know I have less. I have even less time. I
You
mean,
never know.
20 years. Yeah, I could live
Well,
a
if
lot
I
longer.
had your money, I'd
But
probably be able to stay alive a little longer.
it was Frankie's death that made this very, very clear to me, where I saw how much time I might have left, and it made me feel an urgency to embrace meaning even more and purpose even more, because I don't have that much time, and I don't know how much time that is, but certainly 20 years, if I live a normal the life of a normal American guy. And some of that isn't even in physical health. Some of it's you're not as capable. I don't want to be that kind of guy. When I get to be 80, I want to be extraordinary for 80. I want to still be
I
active
still,
minded
I
and
think
physically.
you are pretty extraordinary for 60.
Well, thank you very much.
You look very fit and kind of good.
Kind of good.
I actually think you look better now than you used
Really?
to, like 10, 15 years ago. It
Wow.
looks good
Thank
on
you.
you.
Thank you. I'm going to take that, and I'm going to live on that compliment for the next month and a half. No, thank you. Yeah, I do feel that too when I'm on the mat with guys a lot younger than me, and I can keep up with them, and I'm just as strong as them. It's a good feeling to know. Wow, and to see their surprise when I tell them I'm 60 is a good feeling. But I'd like to maintain that at 80. I have a friend now who's 80, and he's nearly incapacitated and can't really do much. I don't want to be that guy. I think I'd rather go to the Rainbow Bridge than be that guy.
Good luck with that.
Thank you. The
I think
longevity
you can
movement.
do it.
The longevity movement, I think, is it's making a lot of products accessible to everybody that I think is going to be great for us. Peptides, all that stuff that keep us physically young and rejuvenating our bodies. I mean, I see guys in their 70s and 80s now who are just in great shape. That's the kind of guy I want to be if I can work through these injuries. Well, thank you, Mandy.
Bye.
Bye. Any other questions, comments, or concerns, folks? You see anything in the gallery, Mike?
No.
Well, guys, to me, that was a very interesting conversation. I look forward to having our next conversation Saturday. Same bat time, same bat channel. I see now I'm doing it right every time, Persephone. Thank you for that. So yeah, we'll talk about something else. Maybe some techniques, coping techniques, something that you can apply in your everyday life to help you become better and better each day. Because that's our goal, to help you and us by talking about these things, uh, realize our potential. That's my goal in life. That's hopefully yours as well. And hopefully this show provides the value that enables you to do that. Michael, any final words before we bid our gallery adieu?
Just thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you to
thanks,
everybody.
guys. Thanks, guys. You have a lot of choices you make on Saturdays, and we're glad that we are one of them. We'll see you next week. Peace.